What if the sound of laughter was the sound of healing? Hey guys, it's John sitting here in the studio. Hope you're having a fabulous day wherever you are. Uh, Last year I did over 1,000 private sessions. And one of the things that I like to do in private sessions is to laugh, to find laughter, and to bring people to laughter. Oftentimes, people will come on a private session with me and they will literally have the experience of being stressed, being anxious, being in that moment where they literally are just, you could feel the weight on them. Their brow is furrowed and they're in that moment of just not feeling light. They're feeling the weight of their struggles. And the second they laugh, they go and they get a couple inches taller. And you could see the brow unfurrow and the eyebrows rise up, and they had a moment of release. See, the struggles of the world create weight upon us. The Beatles used to say when things were negative, they would say, man, that's a drag, or man, that's heavy, right? The struggles of the world feel heavy. But in any moment of your life, you can set your struggles down and fly. And the sound of laughter is healing because the sound of laughter brings us to present moment fearlessness. And that is the two key elements of spiritual experience: to be present and to be fearless. When you live into that idea of humor is more than entertainment, it's spiritual medicine. It is a reboot back to your spiritual nature. And laughter is also a universal language. I remember being in Cairo, and we had made friends with some of the local people who rented horses and camels, and right next to where the stables were was this little shop, and my wife was in there with them, and they were joking around, and the one guy started flirting with my wife, and I came in and I looked at him. He looked at me, and and then he took off running, and I chased him, and we laughed, and it was very very funny. Laughter crosses cultures and divides. The idea that we can find something to laugh about with everybody, no matter what their language is, and it's shared by all humanity. All humans laugh at some point, and once two people laugh together, it instantly creates a connection. It creates the awareness of that oneness, that they're doing it together, and it's about being firmly present. Laughter will literally bring you to the moment, and it will bring you to the moment without fear, because you're letting go of the air which shuts off the primal fight or flight response. And it silences the inner chatter. When you're laughing, you're not thinking about the struggles of your life. You're thinking about, that was funny, and you start laughing, and you're experiencing that pure moment of joy, and that is laughter as love in motion. It's literally showing you that in that moment there's nothing to fear. It opens your heart. It dissolves your fear, and it reveals your oneness, because you can have that connection with anybody from anywhere in the world, because in that one moment you're laughing together. The majority of my regression memories are of Joshua laughing, and he used wit and irony, and he oftentimes he gave you a glance which just made you start to laugh at yourself. You would say something, and he'd go, and you just start to laugh, because you look at him, you go, "Oh my, what did I just say?" And you would have that moment, and you remove the log from your own eye. Quote is about literally saying, "Come on, we got to, you're doing this to yourself, pretty much." He often used playful exaggerations, and I'll tell you something else Joshua used to do was he would get you laughing, and then he would follow that with a truth. He would get you laughing so you were opened, because the chatter of your mind stops you from seeing broader spirituality, broader love, because it's the fear. The chatter of the mind is the fear, being the fog that hides that truth. But when it gets you laughing, he would drop a truth in right behind it, which would then make you go, oh. And your exhale would go from just a laughter exhale to a revelation exhale. You would literally, oh, you would feel your body naturally feel the truth of it. There is humor in divinity, because the divine is funny, because when we are literally realizing we have all the abilities, then everything just goes crazy. One of my favorite Buddhist quote of all time is, when you realize how perfect everything is, you'll tilt your head back and laugh at the sky. You know, Joy is our nature. Joy is what, when we are laughing, it's something that is there. It was created into our experience. It's a product of love. I look at the world through the veil of love and fear, and you know, right in the middle between love and fear is neutral, and to one side is annoyed, and the other side is amused. I think it's a sliding scale, and joy is just an expression of love. And the cosmos are filled with irony and wonder. Look at a platypus and just laugh because that's just silly, right? You look at it from the idea of he's got a duck bill and he looks like a badger, and it makes no sense. But the world is filled with irony and wonder, and spirituality. Spirituality is not meant to be dour. My memories of Jeshua, I never once heard the choir sing or the light come down from heaven. I heard a lot of laughter. Heard a lot of laughter. It doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to be something that we're pondering and our head hurts because it's so much doctrine and dogma. Religion's seriousness missed the joy. It missed the laughter. It turned teachings into guilt, and it lost the lightness of love. It made things heavy. It made these dark, and the candlelight and the thick incense and the guilt and the dogma and the original sin and all the things. It turned us guilty when God is love and love is joy and light. And that joy is reclaimable.
And now, a quick word from our sponsor Coffee Time with John. This channel runs off coffee, so get your coffee and tea at johnsjoe.com.
When I was overseas on my USO tours, a soldier walked up to me in Ramadi, Iraq, and if I can find the picture, I'll show you a picture of me standing in front of the Palace of Ramadi in my Renaissance Festival costume. If I can find it, I don't know if I can, but if I did find it, it's right here, right now. um, that soldier walked up to me and told me he was in a firefight that morning, and that for 2 hours in the afternoon he forgot all about it. And all we did was bring a comedy show that made him laugh for 2 hours, and he thanked us for that. It is the relief valve. We can literally turn the pressure down, and you can do that in the midst of fear, because when you do, what's being vented off is your fear. You can restore yourself back to your humanity and prove that joy heals the trauma just by allowing yourself to be that way. Performing under stress, we're always in stress. People are always telling us what we should do or could do, or what do these soldiers overseas. They were in stressful situations, but still they came and they laughed and they set that stress down for a while. Share and doing that with your fellow humans, and in their case, their fellow soldiers. It bonded the group. They talked about it for days. Oh, remember that guy did that? Oh, that was so funny. That humor carried through, and maybe a day or so later, they might have remembered something we said or something we did, and they laughed again. What did they do? They shut off their fear again, and that gives them the resilience to continue on because they're not building the pressure up until they explode. They're releasing the pressure so they can continue, and it lifts the entire group because now they're sharing that release, that laughter, and laughter is survival. If we can't laugh at ourselves, we're going to struggle and we're going to have a hard time. And humor is a strength to take that moment and realize you can laugh at yourself, you can laugh at others, and that laughter is joy, and that joy transforms fear into a beautiful life, a loving life. When we laugh, it releases endorphins, it lowers cortisol, it boosts immunity, it makes us healthier even because that's our nature coming back to life. It's expressing healthy joy. Fear, in the Gnostic Gospel of Mary Magdalene, she said, all ailment comes from fear. Well, laughter releases the fear. Laughter is a stress reset. Your muscles relax, your mind clears, energy shifts instantly, and proof that spirit and body are one, because that's a choice to laugh. That's an experience of laughter. It's the spirit of yourself coming to that joy, and joy heals both the body and the spirit. It's a physical and spiritual reality that those two things, the physical and the spiritual, are inseparable. They are one. The body is a representation of what the spirit believes. And if we are focused on fear, we will have fearful things. And when we are laughing, we are revealing love. We are revealing our inner divinity. We are showing and experiencing the feeling of being complete and whole in the oneness of God. I have watched people laugh themselves to perfect healing. They've taken despair to hope and conflict to peace, from fear to freedom. I've also seen people heal themselves physically by simply laughing at the absurdity of not being well and declaring that they're creating perfect health. That laughter releases the fear, which releases the ailment. If you found a moment in your life that laughter was so beautiful or so it changed the moment, and please share that in the comments below so people can see this universal reminder that they can laugh at any moment, that they can find the pathway and the doorway to their divinity just by simply showing joy and spreading joy. And that will heal our communities faster than anything else. Everybody has the moments of laughter. And joy is always accessible, and humor is a divine invitation to share it. When you're laughing, you're sharing something. When I'm telling a joke or making a joke or laughing at something on one of these videos, I'm sharing laughter. I hope. I hope you find me funny anyway, right? If you start practicing joy daily, then you'll start to experience a different life. Watch comedies instead of tragedies. Watch comedies instead of horror shows. Find the moments of laughter. Find the shows that make you laugh. Laugh at your own mistakes. Laugh at the abilities to look at your life from a perspective of, well, that was silly when I did that, but now I'm doing this. Share those stories. Share that humor with others. Prioritize fun. Be as silly as you can be as often as you can be, because silly is spirit. The more silly you are, the more you feel the direct connection to spirit. And drop your adult seriousness. Why so serious? This was Heath Ledger in Batman, I believe. Laughter can be a meditation. I sit in love in this chair right behind me here. And what do? I exhale. Well, what is a laugh? It's a joyful exhale. Laughter is the direct connection to that doorway. Laughter is sitting in love in the world and sharing that sitting in love experience with everyone. You exhale your fear through joy because you're laughing. And humor is the prayer, because prayer is not some rote technique. Prayer is what we believe, what we have faith in the now. And if you put faith in joy and humor, you will have a joyful, humorous life. Write the comedy instead of the tragedy. It's much more fun. Fill your dinner table with laughter. If you're a teacher and you have all those kids in the room, they're all stressed about learning, they're all stressed about getting right, getting the A in the class. If you find moments of lightness to make your students laugh, you're releasing the pressure which allows them to do better. You know, and then joy shapes the childhood. It shapes their belief that the world is good, and communities become bonded by that humor. Go to comedy nights, enjoy the comedy. Find things to laugh with your neighbors about. Have card night or poker night or whatever it is, but find those moments to give yourself the ability to laugh. And churches, I'm going to ask you, churches directly, please reclaim joy. Stop reciting things in rote and start laughing with your communities. Start laughing with your congregations. Show them the world is beautiful. I believe that spirituality is a personal journey, and love can be found in any religion, doctrine, or dogma or ideology. But it's found in the laughter. It's found in the joy. It's found in creating a joyful world, and that creates less war, more laughter, less fear, more joy. It creates healing through humor globally. When we laugh, the soul remembers it was never broken. And when you take this moment to realize that you're not broken, that you can laugh, that you can be the joy in this moment, then you start to realize that you can share that joy and going out and helping others. And if you would, please share whatever joyful moments or jokes you want in the comments below this video so we all can laugh. When you do that and we laugh, you have just shared God with us. And take this moment to share and express that so that people can have a good time, because that's the important thing, is that we're here to have a good time. We're not here to struggle. We're not here to follow rote doctrines, methods, modalities, or techniques. We're here to love and be love, and that is joyful. And that's my thought on this. You guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.